U.S. citizens, welcome back for another episode. Okay. And I made it clear, U.S. citizens. I'm not talking to illegal aliens here. You're not allowed to watch this show. Okay. Get out. Now let me stop. I'm playing. Real Lil encourages everybody and anybody to watch this show. Those of y'all who take the time to tune in, welcome aboard. I love the people. I'm for the people. I'm that dude, not to be rude. All right, this is another episode of the Real Lil Show that's going down today. And I got a lot of energy because I'm happy. All right, good things are happening. I see the light in my life a little bit, just a little bit, right? So he's gonna, put more pep in my step here. And yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Real Lil Show. Is going down, just so you know the usual. I give my take and then I bait. That's what we do here. And the Can You Dig Sports Radio Network, what it do? YouTube, Spotify, what it do? In case you miss a topic or a segment, those y'all listening live, guess what? You get to go on the Spotify and the YouTube, type in the Real Lil Show. Let's go. I got my guy Lee back in the building per usual, and we got some topics to break down. Victor Wembanyama came out with some comments, and we're going to talk about it. Was it a good look? Was it a bad look? I'm pretty sure the bill may be split there, right? Especially with the masses. Thoughts on that? We're going to give it. We also going to talk about the 65 game rule in the NBA in order to be ineligible or eligible rather for awards. We're going to break that down. Should it be reformed, abolished, or should we just leave it as is? We're going to break that down. And Odell Beckham Jr., yes, him. Should he be coming back to the NFL? Should another team reach out and give him a bone to pick? And we'll see. We'll break it down here on the Real Lil Show. And I'm going to introduce my guy, Lee. Lee, how you feeling? What's the vibes looking like?
Man, I'm good, feeling good. I think you're happy because the Knicks on that 7-game winning streak. I think that's why you.
I wasn't even thinking about that, but now that you brought it up, I'm even more happier. Let's go.
Yeah, they starting to make a move. Hey, they need that second seed, Lil, so maybe they'll get it. The season's about to wrap up, but I'm feeling really good, man. Life is good, man. It's nice, beautiful day, 85-degree day in Houston, Texas. So how couldn't you feel good, man? So yeah, ready to talk about these topics, chopping it up, and let's do it.
Yeah, man, 85 degrees, and I'm about to give 85 lashes, okay? Because right now we about to debate, all right? And we about to give our take, and let's go. Because right now, Victor Wembanyama came out with some comments, and I want to play the clip for you, Lee, and everybody watching at home, and then I'll propose the question. So let's hear from my guy, Victor Wembanyama.
My first one would be that defense is 50% of the game and that it is undervalued so far in the MVP race because I believe I'm the most impactful player defensively in the league. Second argument would be that we almost swept OKC in the season and we dominated them 3 times with their real team and 4 times with more rotation players. And my third argument would be that offense impact is not just points.
All right, salute to my guy Dujane checking in. What's good, my guy? I see you living. Listen, man, I think I'm doing good in my life, right? And I'm happy about it, right? Some positive news finally because I wasn't doing good just now, but things are changing the corner. But I'm looking at my guy Dujane and his social media. My guy Dujane is living the life, man. Salute to my guy Dujane Bland for the Not Bland show. Make sure you tap into that. And yeah, Lee, back to the show. The question that I have after playing that clip is it a good or bad look Wemby stated his MVP case?
Well, look, I don't have a problem with it, Lil. I think the man's confident in his play. The man is stating the facts of why, he deserves the award. Hey, confidence breeds championships, and he's playing like a champion. What he said is very true. I mean, when you're looking at an MVP, you're looking at a guy who affects the game defensively. He's the best defensive player in the league. His team is got the second best record in the league, 3 games behind OKC, and they've beaten OKC 3 times. So he's not lying, and his scoring, and then his just impact on the game. He makes great and valid points, and so I'm not upset at him going out and saying that. He was asked a question and he gave a valid answer, and so I'm good with that. Is it a bad look? It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me at all. I think stating your case to the voters and telling them how much you really want that award and how you feel you're impacting the game, I think that's a good thing. And so I think Victor is really, coming into his own as an NBA superstar, and he's acting like he's the best player in the world, and he wants to get that respect. And so I feel, well said, and I feel there's nothing wrong with how he approached it, how he came off with it, and the fact of the matter is his points are very valid. So I see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess life is too good that me and Lee's gonna agree here, right? Maybe when life is good, we agree more, right? Look, I gotta agree. I don't have a problem with it. I think listen, Victor Wembanyama just became my favorite player in the NBA, just off of that alone. Because let me break it down. I'm tired of the media trained athlete of today. I'm an authentic person. Everybody knows me and my delivery. What I say is how I feel, right? Most of the time. Maybe sometimes I might pick a side just to debate, for fun. But most of the time, you're going to get realism in my take. And I praise athletes for being somewhat authentic as well. One of the reasons why Kyrie Irving, for an example, is one of my favorite athletes today, period, in any sport, is not because of what he can do on the court. That's a very large part, but because of how real he is, whether or not people agree with his politics. I happen to agree with probably half of it, not all of it. I don't believe the earth is flat, but I do believe in his right to say it. And, I'm not going to hate him for it, right? I appreciate guys like Anthony Edwards and Wemby because they are unfiltered. They both happen to be the two athletes that rose the level of aggression in the All-Star game. It was them. It was Victor. It really was Victor, and then it was Ant. But it was Victor who really came out and set the pace for an All-Star game that, I mean, if you look at the last couple of years, it was definitely good compared to the other ones. And Wemby has a lot of things going against him. He's an international player in an American game that's constantly trying to birth that American star. Like the NBA wants the next face to be an American because it's an American sport. So he has a lot going against him. He has a language barrier. Even though he can speak a little English, not that bad compared to others, he still has a language barrier, culture barrier. So this to me makes him more likable because it's something that I would say. He's not being media trained and not going with the media trained narrative. LeBron and Durant, for the early part of their careers, were media trained until the media turned their back on them, and then they became real. LeBron became LeBron and forget the PR, and KD became KD, forget the PR, going on burners, cursing out teammates and whatnot, calling teammates trash. That wasn't the case before the media was on their side. So a lot of people think that they have to be media trained to get the media to like them. No. Victor Wembanyama, do you, bro? Do exactly what you're doing because your play is going to back up those comments. In fact, and I will end here in my first lap, if Victor Wembanyama wins the MVP, he will be the youngest to do so, passing Derrick Rose, who won in 2011 at the age of 22. Tell me what it do. Okay, he was the only player to win the award before turning 23. So what does that tell you? That people vote for superstars that are already established and have equity, and there's no precedent for athletes of Wemby's age to win the award. We live in a world that discriminates against younger people. The president, you got to be a certain age. Certain jobs, they want you to be a certain age, have a certain level of experience and whatnot. So, yeah, I know I came out on your show, Lee, and said that I believe Luka was the MVP. I'm wrong. Victor Wembanyama in that clip taught me and a lot of people the game of basketball. It really made us realize it again because he's absolutely right with everything he said in that take. And you know what? He is the favorite to win the MVP.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to SGA still. I think as I said, I think SGA is the best closer in basketball. I think in the fourth quarter, when you have to get a bucket and when it's time to win the game, I think there's none better than SGA right now in the league. They have the best record, and so I think SGA narrows him out just a little bit, just by a little bit. But Wemby's definitely on the come up, and his defensive prowess. I mean, he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, so that's a feather in his hat. I think he's going to finish second in the MVP race, followed by Luka, then followed by Joker. But no, he has every right to feel in his mind that I'm the best player in the league and feel that I'm the MVP. If he didn't, I would think differently of him. I would really feel a certain way about it if he didn't. The way he plays, the way he affects the game, his impact on the game, he's supposed to feel like he's the MVP. But I don't think he's going to win it. I think I would still give it to SGA until further notice. But Wemby's closing fast. The Spurs are closing fast, and so it's going to be a great playoff. Yeah, they have beat them 3 times, and so in the regular season, might you add. So we'll see how it goes in the playoffs. Totally different game in the playoffs. But no, keep doing what you're doing, young man. Your game is evolving and rounding into shape. The only thing that I would say that I would want to see from Wemby a little bit more, Lil, I like to see him get in the low block a little bit more, because he can take damn near one step from any place in the painted area and dunk the basketball. So I like to see him, and he could get other bigs in foul trouble. So I like to see him do that. But his impact on the game is definitely, no one can deny that. I just still would nudge it out just a little bit to SGA as the MVP of the league.
Yeah, I think for me, when you talk about MVP, and I hinted at it in my last lap, that people discriminate when it comes to age. They like to go with the equity and whatnot. That's why most MVPs in any sport, you don't really see a first-year player win an MVP. They give him Rookie of the Year because they're able to fall back on that, but they don't want to give him the MVP over somebody that's been doing it, consistently. And to me, it's about this year. Who has been the best basketball player this year? Not last year, but this year. And not only the best basketball player, because that could be subjective. Look how much skill is in the NBA. You can make a case that Luka is the best basketball player in the NBA, even though he won't be my go-to, right? My point is Jokic, right? You could make that argument clearly. He's been, at the top of his game the last couple of years, won multiple MVPs. So that's subjective, right? But impact, value, to me, that's what separates, the guys is value. And it's hard for me to find many players that has as much and more value than Wemby. I want to show you this play real quickly here, because this sequence right here literally is the argument. And it's not because it's just one play and one set or one, back-to-back plays. It's because this is a microcosm of what he's been doing all year. Look at this. He alters the shot because of his size right there. That's step number 1. So clearly he prevented points there. Then look at the assists. I mean, come on. And then he gets the dunk. That's a weapon. That's like you trying to take a knife to a gunfight and somebody pulls out the RPG. Get out of here. That's Victor Wembanyama. He's the RPG in basketball. That's value. And I understand, look, I'm not against Shea. I don't have nothing against Canadians. I don't like their politics, but I have nothing against Canadians, okay? Shea is a very good basketball player. He deserved to win it last year. But when you talk about defense, and look, he's a great defender. He's a very good defender, but he's not Wemby, though. He doesn't have the impact that Wemby has defensively, though. Because you look at it real quickly, Lee, and I'll let you get right back. The most 25-point game, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks. I mean, you look at these stats. This is domination on both offense and defense. And Wemby's right. Defense is 50% of the game, which is why I take my ownership. And I could admit that I was wrong for picking Luka on your show to be the favorite, because he's right. We can't forget about defense. And sometimes that go overlooked because everybody goes with the guy that's scoring the most points. You look at the last couple MVPs. Shea won it last year, led the league in scoring. Joel Embiid won it a couple years ago, led the league in scoring. So again, it's not only about scoring the basketball. That's a large part of it, But if you look at Wemby's stats, the stats are one thing, and it's amazing stats, but the stats don't even tell the full tale of his impact, which to me is why he should be the MVP front runner right now.
No, great points, great points. And you know, we factored in the voters very seldom will factor in the dominant defensive player. They'll give them defensive player of the year, but they won't factor that into the MVP. I think that is a shame because they should, because you're talking about the impact, the most valuable player in the league and what they do. So I agree with you on that. SGA for me, again, when it's winning time, he gets the ball. He's going to do one or two things. He's going to score the basket, or he's going to get fouled. He's going to step up to the line and win the game. He is the best closer in basketball, and I think that's why he's going to win it. But no, your points about him. Hey, I've been on the Wemby train all year, so I agree with what you're saying. The man is blossoming in front of our eyes, and clearly.
I mean, did you think the Spurs will be this goodly?
Not this soon. Not this soon.
That's
not this
my
soon.
point.
I didn't.
And that's kind of my point. Did you think the Thunder would be the number one seed? I'm pretty sure you did because they won the championship last year.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to say that I believe the Spurs would have been this good.
No one did. No one did. But they've drafted well. They've pieced together that team very well. They've got players that complement each other. They're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. And that series, and I think we're going to get it too. San Antonio and OKC in the Western Conference Finals, that's going to be a great series. And so I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see who wins it. But I still get that, like I said, that narrow nudge to SGA.
All right, we're going to move right along. Good topic there. Good start. The show was off to a very good start, and we might as well keep the train rolling because the NBA is facing pressure to alter the 65-game eligibility rule for players to be considered for awards. Now, Lee, this is it's not a three-part question. You do have three options. Should the league abolish, reform, or keep the rule?
I just think they should abolish it. I mean, look, I understand why they were trying to put an arbitrary number of games in there. 65 games. Okay, what is 65 games? You're playing 82 games. You want them to play 65 games to be on these awards, MVP, all NBA teams. But Leo, for me, when people are voting, the voters that vote for people for these all-star, if a player only played 50-something games, they're going to factor that in. How many times have we seen someone award a person that may have played 45 or 50 games, an all-NBA team? It rarely happens. An all-NBA team, first, second, or third team, or an MVP. Those things rarely happen. So when they made the rule, I thought, well, why? I mean, it's just an arbitrary number. I know you're trying to get them to play multiple games and not load management, but load management is one thing. Being injured is another, right? And someone's impact on a game, because if you played 60 games and your team is first, second, third in the league, why shouldn't you win MVP? You played 60 games. Why does a 65 thing has to be the number? So I never liked it. I don't think it serves a purpose. I think the voters understand if a person doesn't play enough games, 45, 50 games, then they should be MVP. They should make an all-tournament team. And if there's a catastrophic injury, then how many times have we seen a person that blew out his knee in the 31st game of the season make all-NBA? We don't see it a lot. So I never thought the rule had value anyway. I never thought it had value. And so I say abolish it. There's no need to tweak it, because tweaking it does nothing. Just abolish the rule. Cade Cunningham should be on one of the all-NBA teams. Whether he plays 65 games or not, he should be on the all-NBA team. So I say abolish it.
All right, look, man. I got to blame myself on this one. Sometimes you got to take the blame, man. Sometimes it's not anybody else's fault but yours, and it's mine. Because when this injury happened, I was the first one to come out and be like, this 65 game rule is tricky, and everybody ran with it. Oh yeah, Leo's right. They need to be abolished. No. I didn't mean for it to get this far. I was just thinking out loud. I said there's pros and cons to it. Okay, I was just weighing the options, right? I didn't say that it should be abolished because, in truth be told, it shouldn't. And that's why I regret. Listen, man, I've been talking a lot. Sometimes I just talk, right? But no. It should not be abolished at all. Why? Because I'm tired of the league constantly trying to reform the NBA. Now, it's getting to a point for a lot of people. The game could become unrecognizable if you aren't adaptable. Now, for an older guy that, used to run home from school to watch basketball, and I know some older people like that, they like, yo, the game is constantly changing. And one thing about older people, unfortunately, they don't like to adapt. Some of them do, some of them don't. Now, this game is going to force you to adapt to it. And look, I think some of the changes are valid reasons, right, to change something. The NBA had a lot to do when it comes to trying to create value in the regular season. And I thought the in-season tournament, I think the play-in tournament is still a positive. And in this game, I believe that in this topic, rather, I believe the 65 game rule to win awards was something that was made from a positive intent. Now, we have to realize why the rule was implemented. And it was implemented because, I'm gonna get to why it was implemented, but I do want to make this point before I get to why it was implemented. Because anytime when you have a rule implemented, Lee, and I'm pretty sure you know this, you're a very smart guy, and a lot of people would know this, even though I don't have as much confidence in a lot of people than I do with you, because a lot of people are stupid. But the reality is, when a rule happened, like let's say government rule, there's always going to be a loophole, right? It's going to be a rule that was made off of a reaction, and a law that's going to be passed off a reaction, and then at the end of it is going to be a loophole. It's always going to be a loophole. Nothing is perfect, especially when you're testing it out, right? For example, the whole thing with the ICE agents, again, I don't really care who this offends, but the reason why they existed before, even before Trump's term, they existed under Obama, was because their job was to enforce border control. And obviously the situations that happened in Minnesota was the loophole. So again, the NBA, the 65 game rule was never intended to punish stars who got hurt. It was created to curb load management, but the loophole was Cade Cunningham's situation. And that's why everybody's bringing it up now. So again, I get it. They feel that we essentially punishing him for getting hurt and not making all NBA because of that, but it's all part of the checks and balances. So again, I don't believe that we could change the rule for Cade Cunningham because we feel sorry for him. Like, nah, there was a reason why this rule was implemented. Don't look like an idiot, Adam Silver, and keep changing stuff, okay? Because that's what you're looking like. You're looking like an idiot. All right, you constantly changing the game, constantly changing the game. You just made this rule. Leave it. Don't allow the media to bully you because, Cade Cunningham got hurt. It's not fair. This rule benefited a lot of people. Jaylen Brown had a $303 million contract, set himself up for success in his family and generational wealth because of this rule. So don't try to change it. I understand there's going to be loopholes. That's everything in life, but just roll with the punches. Keep it the way it is.
I don't think, and if we look back on our memory, right, and this is arbitrary because we probably can search on social media and find out, or on the net and find out, but right off the top of your head, you can't even think of a person who made an All NBA team or MVP or Defensive Player of the Year that played less than 65 games, because generally and typically they don't give it to a player if they've been out for 25, 30 games. They don't get it. So it doesn't, the rule really doesn't affect much. It's just an arbitrary. Now before the Cade Cunningham injury, we really didn't have a person that, like you said, fall under that. So now it's being brought up. Really never, even before Adam Silver implemented this rule, it never really happened. People didn't get the awards that played missed half of the season. You didn't see people that hurt and were 3-4 and get away. You didn't see people that, 5 games, make all NBA teams. You didn't see it. So I don't think the rule is necessary, to be honest with you. I don't think it does anything but hurt a situation like this and have people talking. And you make a good point. It makes Silver look bad because now people at first they were like, yeah, that's a good rule. We don't want them load management. Forget load management. Now they're going to say you're robbing Cade Cunningham. So it was a rule that was instituted that really there was no need for it. And so now we get a bigger issue as to, okay, Cade Cunningham's not going to make an all-NBA team. He has millions and millions of dollars riding on this stuff, right? And so you've hurt this guy when there was really no need because he's going to fall, 3 or 4 games under the 65-game mark. That, to me, that's foul. That's Bush League. There was no need for it, Lil.
I mean, look, you just got to play the 65 game. If that's the rules, and that's the rules. Every place has rules, and you follow them. There's a lot of rules at my previous employers that I didn't like, but guess what? I had to follow it because those were the rules. I think Adam Silver has gotten too player-friendly. That's part of his problem and why he's in the predicament that he is in now. Listening, he's trying to be too collaborative with the fans. No, you're the commissioner, right? Has Roger Goodell in the NFL has he ever really been collaborated with the fans? No, he don't care about the fans. He want to do what's best for the sport and bring in more money and making it more watchable. Adam Silver is more collaborative. Oh yeah, well, tanking, yeah, I know it's an issue. How about we do a playing, right? Everything is a playing. Everything is a tournament. No, like stand on your sword and grow some cojones here and be direct. This is what it is. And it's unfortunate that he had an injury, but that's the rule. And look, let me use this as an example. You could argue Jokic, because I believe Jokic played about 57 games right now. You could argue it's more valuable than Jaylen Brown's 64 games he's played this year. You could argue it's more valuable than Jalen Brunson's 67. But guess what? We cannot penalize guys who are healthy and available. We can't, because who ends up winning the championship most times? Teams that are healthy. So look, I get it. Jokic and Wemby is valuable. But
Jokic,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, Lil. If Jokic got hurt in the game tonight and he didn't make the 65-game threshold, does he deserve to be on one of the All-Pro teams based off his year?
I mean, look, if that's the rule, then that's the rule.
Now, forget about what the rule is. I'm asking you, does he deserve to be on one of the All-Pro teams? This is not about the rule. Let's skip the rule. Does he deserve to be on the All-Pro team and he only played 57, 58, 60 games? Whatever.
I mean, to me,
does he deserve to be an All-Pro?
It's just like the All-Star game. You hurt, you don't play, somebody else gets that opportunity. It's the same thing here with the All-Pro. At the end of the day, there's a lot of,
though. But you're still an All-Star.
Like, for example, I would say this. Think about Cade Cunningham. Obviously, probably not gonna obviously make the All-NBA because of the 65-game threshold. But take a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who played 56 games this year. One of the pioneers of load management. He was one of the reasons why this rule was created. Joel Embiid was number one, but he's right up there with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was a clear number one. You could argue that this is the Joel Embiid rule, but Kawhi Leonard is up there. Now, if you're Kawhi Leonard right now, you have 10 games left. You play all 10 games, you hit the 65 threshold, you have a better financial incentive to do so because of what happened to Cade, and you could potentially make first All-NBA, because I could make an argument for Kawhi Leonard and his value and obviously his skill. So if you're Kawhi Leonard now, that 65-game threshold, if you have the right thinking and you actually want to win, if you actually care about incentives and whatnot, that gives you more incentive to make sure you play the last 10 games along with seeding and try to, make some more money in your pocket. So to me, it really comes down to perspective. One loss is another man's treasure. And Kawhi Leonard has a golden opportunity to take Cade Cunningham's spot. He's one of the candidates. It might not be him, but he's one of the candidates. And to be honest with you, that's a win because he was one of the guys one of the pioneers of this load management thing. So I get it. The fact that Cade Cunningham won't make all NBA, it sucks for him. He had an MVP caliber season. But again, to me, it's all part of the checks and balances of the room. Lee, I'll let you bring us home.
I think it makes the commissioner look. I just think it makes the commissioner look weak. I think it's a weak rule. I think it's an overreach on the commissioner's part, and if teams want to a certain threshold of games played and you get X amount on a bonus, that's fine. Let the team do it. For the league to do it, I don't like it. I think it's Bush League. I think more and more now. Jaylen Brown came out today and said it was a good thing. There's other players that said it wasn't, but Jaylen Brown said, he came out and said, he didn't like players playing 50-something games and getting all the NBA. I don't think to talk to Jaylen Brown, I don't ever remember that happening. See, it hadn't happened in my recollection, so I don't believe that's happened. So I just think it's Bush League by the league and something that just wasn't necessary.
I lied. I thought I was going to sail off the ship here, but I do want to add on to that point. Look, today is a different game. And I understand that, again, there could be a loophole to the argument that I'm about to make. There's always a loophole, right? For every good argument that I could literally tell on this show, Lee could hit me if he's good, which he is. He could dive into the bag and hit an argument to defeat that and make it look like I don't know what I'm talking about when I do, because there's always a loophole and vice versa, right? Now, if you look at the game today, modern medicine, Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, came back within 8 months, something that we really don't see. Yeah. These guys has all the incentive in the world to play long seasons. And yet, guys, back in the day, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, how many 82 game schedules did he play? A lot. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Michael Jordan as well. And these guys was at the top of the game. They were winning championships. It wasn't an 82 and then go to Cancun. These guys were great players. They played in some high-profile games, won championships. So there's no way in the modern game that the fact that Adam Silver has to even create a rule, firstly, like this, is a shame. It's a shame, right? But hey, I don't want to cry over spoiled milk because I definitely milked that cow before. But it's a shame that he even had to create this rule. But there's a reason why he had to create this rule. And a lot of it was his fault. He allowed the league to get this way. And so because he allowed the league to get this way, he had to step in and implement a rule, maybe out of emotion, maybe logically, who knows, but he had to do something, and he did. And because somebody doesn't benefit from it this year, should not mean he has to look like an idiot and scramble, be like, oh, yeah, we messed up. To me, that don't make no sense. That actually makes him look bad. Lee, I'll let you respond to that if you want to.
You made a great point. I'll just say this and then we can move on. Well, real quick, you made great points, and I want to follow up to a couple of things. Michael Jordan played 15 years in the NBA. 13 of those 15 years, I think he played 82 games. Maybe 14, and maybe 12 out of 15 because he had the broken foot, but he played 82 games, right? LeBron James has load management because of modern medicine, right? And because we get the doctors to say it's better for your body now, modern medicine in 2025, this is what the doctors say, you'll be better long term. And so LeBron James can play 23 years. KD can still be the scorer that he is at 36, 37 years old. The modern players, the Jordans, the Magics, Kareem played till he was 41, so he's an anomaly. But all of the other great players were done by their 12th, 13th, 14th year because they did play. So there's an argument on both sides to the fact that more is not the best and less can prolong your career and less can have you ready for the playoffs at your top and peak performance. So that's why load management, and I say this all the time, it doesn't bother me. So these awards to me, I just say this. Players, we know what a great player looks like. We know what an MVP looks like, and we know what an all-pro looks like. And unfortunately, Cade Cunningham won't be either of those this year.
And I'll bring us home with this. For those people that probably never won an MVP, that, maybe is dealing with a nagging injury, nothing serious, but, something that in a regular NBA will keep you out of a game, especially if it's not a big opponent that you care about and whatnot, and it's early in the regular season. But if you're a competitive guy like a Wemby or Ant, one of those rare dudes that really care about this game, and they clearly care about this game, there will be an incentive for you to be like, you know what? If I miss out on this game or I miss out this amount of time, then I might be ineligible for the award. To me, that would make me come back. To me, that would make me play hard. To me, that would make me not want to ride shotgun on the bench. And to me, that's what the league should want, personally. But yeah, that wraps up that topic, and we are going to move on to football. That was a great topic right there. For those of y'all on the Can You Dig Sports Radio Network, this is a hard break. We'll be back. For those of y'all watching on YouTube, Spotify, let's keep it moving. And we are going to talk about the NFL here. Just a quick topic in there, because Odell Beckham Jr., he had a flag football game, Tom Brady's flag football game, made a couple plays, still looked like he has something left to give to the game. And the question that I have right now is, should teams pursue Odell Beckham Jr. after the flag football outing? And Lee, once more, the mic is yours.
Yeah, flag football, tackle football, two totally different things, but he's an athletic freak. He can catch the ball. His hand-eye coordination is just excellent. And, he's a skillful player. The problem, Lil, is this. And look at the catch. Just still got it. Just still an athletic freak. But the problem is he hadn't played since December of 2024. And in that game, he had one catch for 1 yard. So he's had two ACL injuries. He had an oblique injury. He's just been often injured. And so that's what's really derailed his career. So that catch shows that maybe I did watch some of that game. He was running routes real well, coming in and out of breaks. So it looks like he's in great shape. So should teams do it? Yes, teams will do it. I think they will pursue him. Now, what the contract is going to look like, Lil, that's another thing, right? And will he play on a contract, close to the veterans minimum or something like that? I think a team, if they can get him at the right price, certainly he would, because he's a talented player. Early on people thought he was a malcontent. I never bought into that. I've never really thought Odell Beckham did anything wrong within his career that would blackball him from the league or anything like that. So I think he's still a talent, and you cannot knock the skill set, the hand-eye coordination, and his ability, the leaping ability and all that. So yes, a team should pursue him. They should pursue him. Yeah, the Cowboys can pursue him for that matter. Make him our third receiver. I love it. But it's at what cost, I think, is what these teams are looking at, how much they're going to pay him. And then, it's probably going to be a 1 year deal, a 1 year prove it deal. But yeah, I would. The man looked phenomenal when I saw him in that flag football game, and you showed the catch. So obviously the athleticism is still there.
Look, firstly, my big takeaway is that Tom Brady could literally come back tomorrow and be a top 10 quarterback still in the NFL. Tom Brady was throwing ropes. The greatest quarterback of all time. To even see him in action again, that's my favorite.
Throwing against air, Leo. Throwing against air. Throwing against air.
Listen, man, you saw Joe Burrow throw a pick six. A couple quarterbacks throwing a pick six. It might have been against air, but air intercepted that ball. So at the end of the day, salute to Tom Brady for having this event and doing what he do, which is killing it. Right? Something that he did in the NFL that people still hate him for. But you know what? I don't hate on great. All right. But anyway, Odell. Look, I think for me, you talked about it in your take. You mentioned a point about injuries has derailed his career. In some regards, in a lot of regards, you're right, because it has. Obviously, he was on his way to winning a Super Bowl MVP until he got hurt in that game. which allowed, I believe it was Cooper Cup that won it. I believe Cooper Cup won it. That allowed him to win. But anyway, he's made an impact, even in Baltimore. And look, Baltimore is not a wide receiver friendly type of organization. I gotta call a spade a spade. And I think the reason why he's not playing today is because he went to Baltimore. Hot take, maybe. I don't think so. Because that's the reality. I mean, look at D Hop. D Hop, I mean, he still got hands and he wasn't targeted a lot in Baltimore. And pretty much where was the last great Baltimore wide receiver? Marquise Brown, yeah, maybe he's not good anyway. Maybe he's not all that was hyped up to be. I mean,
they got Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a great receiver.
Zay Flowers, he's decent. I won't call him great at all. Not great. He's still got to accomplish more to be great, but he's good. Definitely a good wide receiver. Had his best year since he's been drafted last year. And it took 3 years, right? I think this is his third year that just passed. So it took 3 years to get to that point. That's my point, to be exact. But, he's a good wide receiver as far as the gadget. So when you're a gadget wide receiver, you can pretty much make an impact, and you really have, you're really going to get the ball. And he got the ball. A lot of opportunities for him. But he's still good. My point being is that I never liked Odell going to Baltimore. Even from the beginning, they offered him a lot of money. It was never going to work. They don't pass the ball a lot. They run the ball with Lamar a lot. They have Derrick Henry. They was a Derrick Henry focused team. So for me, I still think he should be in the NFL. And to be honest with you, if I had to give you a team right now that I think he should be on, is a team that he was on before, the New York Giants. Why not? You got John Harbaugh, who coached him in Baltimore. Clearly, he played there before, had his best years in New York. He wants to come back to New York. And if you're Jackson Dart or the coach for Jackson Dart, you want to make sure that he doesn't take hits, because the big thing about Jackson Dart is him putting himself in harm's way. Some of that could be overblown a little bit. That's more media perpetrated, but some of it is true as well. If you want to make sure that he stays upright, get him more weapons. Give him an abundance of options and targets. Malik Neighbors is a dog. He's the talented wide receiver. He could be a great wide receiver if he could stay healthy, but get him another guy, another option, so this way he's not constantly putting himself in harm's way. So for me, it makes sense for him to be on a roster still. Maybe not a 1-2 role, maybe like a third or fourth wide receiver, maybe coming for a couple plays, make an impact here and there. And I think that team should be the Giants.
Yeah, he's still young, man. He's not an old guy. You know what I'm saying? And so he, it was a lot to do about the injuries. The Baltimore years, the fact that you're right, they run the ball. Baltimore will be more explosive this year than they've ever been. They'll have more 3 wide receiver sets. It'll be a totally different offense for Baltimore this year, which will benefit Lamar. They'll be more wide open, and that's a good thing. I like your pick of the Giants. They got Isaiah Likely there as well, putting OJB in there with Jackson.
And I like the pickup of oh my God, the dude from Atlanta. His name is not the dude from Atlanta. That was the wide receiver too, Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. They're gonna have a good offense. So he would fit right in there. I mean, look, Beckham will fit anywhere if he stays healthy. And that's the big if. He always get these little freak nicks and neck injuries, and those are the things that keep him sidelined. And a lot of times when you hurt your core, those core injuries, they linger, and he has 2 bad knees, and so those are the things that more than anything will keep him out the league. And I think a team would want him. It's just what the cost will be, how much they're going to pay for him. Certainly it's not going to be a multi-year deal. It's going to be a 1-year deal, with a team option. And that's okay. Because he comes out, he proves himself, and then he gets paid off of what he did this year. Look, I really like him. I mean, and again, there was a couple of years I wanted him on the Cowboys team, and I would take him right now. The
Bills are option as well.
Yeah, veteran minimum. Who wouldn't take it? Because he's that talented of a player when healthy. So I think the flag football game, with it being televised, Lil, and a lot of eyes were on that, probably opened some people's eyes to his commitment to coming back to the league, because you didn't know where he was at. He didn't play in the 2025 season at all. So his commitment was there, and I think that was a good deal for him to compete in that flag football game.
I mean, they competing more in Tom Brady's league than the Pro Bowl. I mean, yo, it's just crazy to me. But my last point, and going back to that point that I made about Baltimore and this thing in Baltimore and here, I mean, in that playoff game, in that fourth quarter against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, there were times where he was open, and Lamar overthrew him. So he could have made plays in those big moments that could have made his image a little bit more better. But, you know, unfortunately, the what ifs, they're all in sports. You're always going to have a what if, and that's one of the what ifs. And hopefully for him, he'll be able to use this advantage of showing that he still got game in the flag football game to show that he should still be on the NFL roster somewhere. And hopefully it's New York, because I would like to see him back in New York. Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of the Real Lil Show. I got my guy Lee here. Lee, plug yourself in by all means.
You know, as we do it every week, Sundays, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern. After the Buzzer Show with Lee Jones, I always have my guy Real Lil on there. We chop it up, man. We do it the same way. Very, very real sports talk. No chaser. We like to have you guys join us as well. 6:30 p.m. Hit me up. We have another great show this Sunday.
I definitely tap into that and tap into the Real Lil Show on YouTube, Spotify, and the Can You Dig Sports Radio Network. We out. Peace.
Sports, politics, conspiracy theories. We are here to give you our unique perspectives on things happening in the world. It's the one and only, The Real Lil on The Real Lil Show.